Welcome to the exercise portion of the Maternix Postpartum Recovery program. Through these 5 weeks of exercises, we're going to start off with regaining mobility and working on our breath, and then progressing week by week up to agility and more dynamic exercises, which will prepare you for more exercises, including running and returning to high impact activity. These exercises have been specifically designed to stretch out areas that typically get tight and to strengthen areas that can be hard to connect with postpartum. These exercises can be done after vaginal or C-section delivery. You can progress through these exercises on a week-to-week basis if you are able, but if you find that one week is more challenging than the other ones, then definitely feel free to stick with that week for an extra few weeks before you're ready to progress. Feelings of stretching and fatigue during exercising is normal, but you should not feel acute pain. If you do, try and pull back and regress the exercise, and you can progress it as you become stronger throughout the weeks. Additionally, if you feel any pelvic heaviness or the need to urinate, or if you're leaking at all, it means that you're not managing the pressure in your canister or your core very well, and we need to build up that strength before you progress to that exercise. So always listen to your body while you're exercising, and again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thanks again for taking the course, and I hope you enjoyed this routine. Welcome to week 4 of the Maternix Postpartum Recovery program. Again, this is my sister Adrienne. She's helping out doing some of the more high intensity exercises for me while I'm pregnant. So what we're gonna do first is just standing. We're gonna review that TA, or transverse abdominal core activation, so those deep core muscles. So they're just in between our hip bones. So find your hip bones, and then just inside of there, we're gonna just practice engaging our core in standing. So last week we did it lying down, and today we're gonna be doing it in standing. So hands just inside of our hips. We're gonna do a nice big inhale. So inhale in, and then on the exhale, purse your lips and feel as though those hip bones are drawing towards the belly button, tightening those lower abs. Good. And then one more, and then now we're not going to kind of death grip those abs while we're doing the exercises, but those are the muscles that I want you to feel staying engaged throughout the core exercises that we're going to do today. So today for week 4, we're going to incorporate some more oblique twists. So what we're going to do is you're going to get a band and tie it to something stable like a banister or the leg of a very heavy table. And we're going to come down into half kneeling. So Adrienne's going to come down into half kneeling and making sure that there's good tension on the band. She's nice and tall, as if there's a string through the top of her head, nice and tall through her legs. And what she's going to do is pull that band down towards her other hip, so her opposite hip. And then she's going to control the movement as she comes back with her core muscles. And then as she comes back, she's going to inhale and exhale. It's a good idea to purse your lips while you're doing this so that you know that you're getting a nice long exhale. And that active exhale is going to help to engage those lower abdominals that we were just talking about. Good. And we're going to do 6 more on this side. This is working on our obliques, so those side abs. I believe we have 4 more. 4, 3, good. And you're trying to really twist and pull down. 2, and 1. And then we're going to switch legs. So this is just going to change up the type of stability that you have to do with those with your legs and with the core. And we're going to do 10 here again. 10. So each side might feel a little bit different. You might feel like your groin or your adductor muscles working a little bit harder on this side. You might feel your glute on that stabilizing hip. So that's all good. Those are all things that we want to feel in this exercise. As well, of course, as those obliques, those core muscles. How many we have left here? Do you know? Let's do 3. Let's do 4 more. Okay. 4, 3, 2, and and 1. These obliques are going to help to try and bring those core muscles back towards the midline. During pregnancy, they tend to stretch out and sometimes can pull apart. So we're using our obliques to help kind of re-establish that cross abdominal pull. So we're going to do 2 more on the same side. So no, same side as before. So we're going to have the left leg up, or your left leg. You just did that side though. Yeah. And we're going to do 10 here. 10, 9, and always thinking about that breath, trying to keep your legs nice and stable. So you don't want too much movement through the lower body. All of the movement is happening through the trunk here. We have 5 more. 5, 4, and you can always make the band tighter if you want more of a resistance or to make this exercise harder. Also, if you place the band higher up, that will also make it harder. 10, perfect. And then we'll just switch legs. 10, 9, still thinking about that breath. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 more, 3, 2, and 1. And what Adrienne's doing really well here is she's not using her shoulders to do the work. She's not rowing. She's holding the band and she's twisting through the core. So we're going to spin around and we're going to do 2 sets of 10 on the opposite side so that we're working the opposite way of what we just did. Yep, so leg out in front. And this time she's working the opposite obliques. And like all the other exercises, I've mentioned this before, one side might feel easier than the other. That's totally normal. It's normal to have asymmetries and for one side to feel stronger than the other. If that's the case, then you can just focus and do an extra set on that one weaker side. So we got 2 more, 9, and 10. Great, she's just going to switch legs here. And you also might find that it's harder to balance on one side. Like I always find when I have the leg closest to the band up, it's a little bit harder to balance, but that's good. It makes all your muscles work a little bit harder to stabilize. 6. We have 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. The next one is hip hinges. I like to call them airplanes, but we're going to add a little bit here with a band. So we're going to add an anti-rotation band. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold it out in front of your body, and then we're going to go into a hip hinge or a single leg deadlift and balance at the top. But the band that's tied to one side is trying to pull you in that direction. So you have to use your obliques and your core to prevent that rotation that the band is trying to pull on you as you go through that movement. So standing on your left foot, we're going to have the band nice and tight in front of you. It should be pulling you towards the bar, and you're going to resist that pull, and then you're going to hinge forward from the hip and then come back up and try and balance if you can. If you need to regress this exercise, you can put your foot down between every rep. But if you want to make it a little bit more challenging for that standing leg, you're going to try and balance between every rep. So we got 2 more on this left side. Whoop, that's okay. And 1 more here. And you'll feel the burn in this whole left leg. Good. Now, everything's the same with the band. We're just going to switch over to the opposite foot. So standing on the opposite leg. So this for Adrienne is the right leg. And she's going to try and balance between each rep. Good. That band is pulling her to the right, but she's resisting that. That's called anti-rotation, and that's going to again help to engage the oblique muscles, pulling those ab muscles together. I think we got 2 more. Good. Last one. Good, perfect. So now we're going to turn it around so that we can work the opposite side. So standing on the left. So now the band's pulling her to the opposite side, to her left side, and she has to use those oblique muscles to counter that rotation. Good. 3 more on this side. 3. And you can notice that her leg's going straight back. She's not bending at the back. She's hinging at that hip. And then she's going to switch sides, reaching forward, coming back up, balancing. That takes a lot of core control and stability in that standing leg. Good, keep going. 3 more. 3. Sorry. 2. And 1. And like all the other exercises, if one side or one part of the exercise was more challenging than the other, then spend more time on that side. That side might just need a little bit of extra work. This one's called Around the World, and again, we're challenging those core muscles. So we're going to come down into a half kneeling position, or sorry, a full kneeling position. And then with a weight, so you can choose what type of weight. The heavier the weight, the harder it is. And what Adrian's going to do is she's just going to take it around her head, all the way around. And what we want to try and avoid is too much movement in the torso here. So she doesn't want to allow her hips and her ribs to be all disconjointed. We're trying to use those lower abs, string through the top of her head, and she's using those core muscles to prevent her ribs from flaring. Good. We'll do 3 more. We're doing 8 in one direction. 2, 3, and then we're going to do 8 in the opposite direction just to challenge the core in the opposite way. Notice what your bum muscles are doing in this position as well. I don't want you to be clenching your bum muscles here to help support your hips. Your bum should be relatively relaxed, and you're getting a lot of the support through those lower abs. Now hopefully Adrian's counting for us. 8. Great, okay. And then we're just going to do 8 again in the first direction. So over to the right, 8 reps here. So part of allowing the glutes to rest while our core is working is a good habit to learn. Sometimes, especially postpartum, we get used to clenching our bum muscles instead of relaxing them just in standing positions, which can really fatigue the bum muscles or the glutes and cause issues in those hips. Good, and then we'll just do 8 on the other side. So 8 going to the left. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. This is a good shoulder exercise too. 3, 2, and 1 more, and 1. And again, the heavier the weight you use, the harder this exercise will be. So the next exercise is side plank, and then we're going to add a leg lift if you're able. But if you're not, we're just going to show you the first progression, and then if you're able to, we'll add the leg lift. So on your side, on your elbow, with your knees bent, we're going to go up into a side plank. And what I want you to focus on is pushing those hips forward and then a slight angle towards the floor here so that you can really feel those lower obliques engaging. So this is your first option. You can hold this here for a count of 10, then lower your hips down and come back up. If you want to progress this exercise, do something a little bit harder, you're going to straighten out that top leg, and we're going to do 8 leg lifts here. So 8, 7, try and kick a little bit further back, almost in line with your hip. Yep, not so high. Good, that's better. And 1, and then we're just going to take a short rest here, and then we're going to do a second set of 8 before we switch on to the other side. Good, so whenever you're ready, we're going to go back up and just make sure while you're doing this exercise that that hip's not coming too far forward. It's going straight out to the side, almost as if you're kicking backwards. 3, 4, keep that hip nice and high. 5, good. 6, 7, and 8. Perfect. And the whole time you're kind of angling your shoulders downwards on a 45-degree angle or a 30-degree angle, somewhere in there, so that when you get tired, you don't start to angle your shoulder upwards, because that just means that we're starting to compensate. So on the opposite side, knees bent, we're going to push up, push those hips forward. Good, perfect. And again, you can hold it here if this is where you want to stay, but if not, we're going to do 8 leg lifts with the left leg. 1, 2, good. 3, keep that knee nice and straight. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Again, if 8 reps is too many and it's too hard on your shoulder or your core, you can always start with 5 reps and build yourself up, or again, you can always start with just that regular side plank from your knees. And we'll go up and we'll do last set of 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, keep going, 2, and 1. Good job. And if you want more challenge, you can just add another set onto each side. The next one is planks. So getting back to planking, if that's something that you used to do before your pregnancy, this is how you can progress it. You can start with a bar. If you don't have a bar, you can use a countertop, a sturdy table, or the back of your couch to elevate your plank to make it a little bit easier than just going straight into a plank from the floor. So the flatter you are, the harder it is. When you're planking, I want you to make sure that you're using your breath to contract those core muscles. You shouldn't have to hold your breath to brace. If you're holding your breath, then I want you to regress the exercise so that you can breathe throughout the exercise. And when you're holding the plank, if you notice pulling or bulging through your midline, then again, it means that you're not controlling the pressure through your abdominal wall with enough control. So I want you to regress the exercise until you feel like you're not bulging and you can really control that midline belly here. So what Adrienne's going to do is she's going to start, we're going to do a 20-second hold from a counter or a bar in a plank position, pushing the bar away from you. So push into the bar to engage those shoulder blades, push away, push, push, push. Good. And holding that nice and straight. Should be in a straight line. Try not to bend at those hips. Good. And we're going to hold it for another 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And like I said, you can stay here or we're going to progress it down onto the floor. So she's going to come down and we're going to do a plank from the floor from her knees. So this is the next progression for the plank, and you can do straight arms or from your elbows, whatever you're comfortable with. And we're holding it here for another 20 seconds. So again, just making sure you can even look down at your core to make sure that there's no bulging there through the midline. We have about 8 seconds left. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we'll just take a break here because Adrienne's going to do one more rep from her toes. And from here, I really want you to push the ground away from you to engage those shoulder blades, so feel them pull apart. And this is the hardest progression, so make sure that you're holding that core nice and stable. Perfect. You're not letting those hips sag or dip. And you keep breathing. Got about 10 more seconds here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. So you can use any of those progressions depending on what you're comfortable with. If you haven't done planks yet and you haven't been doing a lot of core stuff, then I suggest starting from an elevated surface just to make it so that you know that you're in control during this exercise, and then you can progress it as needed. Thanks for watching week 4 of the Maternix Postpartum Recovery program. Thank you, Adrian, for your help. Next week, for week 5, we're going to be getting into some more dynamic exercises. So these exercises are things that you should be confident with if you want to return to high impact activity or anything such as running or jumping. Next week is going to be a great week to get you confident and comfortable with those exercises. Thanks, see you then. Thanks for joining me for the Maternix Postpartum Recovery program. I hope these exercises were helpful and that you can continue doing them in the weeks to come. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me via the membership page or at my email info@maternix.ca. You can use these exercises in conjunction with other exercise routines, but they are meant to take you from early postpartum into whatever activities you do want to get back to. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for taking the course.